Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel, I hope. Everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Golden Bachelorette. If Chock and Joan break up, he might become the Golden Bachelor someday. Would viewers accept a failed Romeo? The Golden Bachelorette star Chock Chapel won Joan Vasso's heart. But some reality TV relationships don't work out. And if their engagement ends, Chock might be a good candidate for the Golden Bachelor. Yes, it would be a little bit unusual to bring a man whose romance failed into a new series, asking him to try again, but maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea. It's just a question of whether viewers would accept a man who is essentially a failed Romeo. This is the real world, not a Disney Wonderland, and the odds of things working out between Chock and Joan are actually about 40%, as per Good Housekeeping. The failure rate for second marriages is over 60%. So it's possible that viewers would forgive Chock for not being the ultimate Prince Charming. Perhaps they'd even sympathize with a man who tried but didn't succeed. Who hasn't done the same? Who hasn't tried and come up short? It's a universal experience, and for this reason, it seems like Chock could thrive as a future The Golden Bachelor lead. This isn't to say that fans shouldn't root for the duo. Both seem like good people who've been through so much heartache. Joan lost her husband to pancreatic cancer, while Chock's late fiancé died of brain cancer. Joan and Chock have been through the very worst, and they deserve compassion. Right now, the Golden Bachelor's Jerry Turner is living with incurable cancer. Right now, Joan and Chock are trying to blend their families, and this isn't easy. Yes, their kids are on the older side, but it's still a big adjustment, which is bound to bring some tension. On Thanksgiving, Joan recorded a TikTok while sitting in her car alone. She talked about her feelings on her late husband Joan Vasso's birthday, November 27. It was hard for her to grieve while spending time with Chock and his kids, who came to her to bring her into their Thanksgiving traditions. Chock probably had some deep thoughts of his own on that day. He's loved and lost too. Joan and Chock are enjoying their time together. But there are complications. They plan to marry, but not yet. In the meantime, they will divide their time between 3 different locations: Maryland, Kansas, and New York City. Joan and Chock possibly found a Big Apple love nest. While this is good news, the more serious they get quickly, the more disappointed the public will be if it all falls apart. If things don't work out, Chock, opening up as a podcast guest above, as per Instagram, may be fortunate enough to come back for another shot at love. The Golden Bachelorette's Chock Chapel seemed controlling at times during his stint on the show. But he had good points too. He was refreshingly direct about what he wanted, cutting through the type of indecision that is often seen on these series. He wanted to be Joan's partner and made it clear that he was the right person for her. Chock could bring his distinct sense of self to the Golden Bachelor. The insurance company owner is intelligent and emotionally aware. Chock is also well-groomed and sophisticated. At the same time, he has a down-home quality that's endearing, whether he's whipping up recipes to eat during a football game or praising his children. If things don't work out with the Golden Bachelorette lead Joan, Chock would be an interesting Golden Bachelor. The spin-offs are about trying again and never giving up, so maybe Chock should get a second chance if and when. In the glitzy, rose-scented world of reality romance, few pairings have captivated audiences quite like Chock Chapel and Joan Vasso's from the Golden Bachelorette. Their chemistry was undeniable from the first episode, with Chock's poetic musings and Joan's radiant charm weaving a love story that felt as if it were plucked from the pages of a fairy tale. Yet, as the season unfolds, the fairy tale's happily ever after seems increasingly uncertain. If Chock and Joan's budding romance doesn't survive the pressures of the spotlight, could Chock Chapel find himself donning the mantle of the next Golden Bachelor? And more importantly, would viewers embrace a failed Romeo seeking a second shot at love? The rise and potential fall of Chock and Joan. Joan Vassos entered the Golden Bachelorette as a trailblazer, embodying grace and confidence while challenging the stereotypes of aging and romance. Meanwhile, Chock quickly became a fan favorite, winning hearts with his deep sincerity and poetic soul. He wasn't just a suitor. He was a man who wore his emotions on his sleeve, crafting handwritten sonnets and offering heartfelt promises of everlasting devotion. Together, they seemed to embody the hope and resilience that love could flourish at any stage of life. But as the finale approaches, cracks in their seemingly perfect connection have become more apparent. Chock's introspective nature, endearing to some, may be veering into overthinking, leading to moments of doubt. Joan, on the other hand, has faced mounting pressure from both the show's producers and her family, who question whether Chock's poetic gestures can translate into a lasting partnership. The question isn't just whether Chock and Joan are right for each other. It's whether their love can withstand the weight of external expectations and their own personal insecurities. From lover to leading man. If the unthinkable happens and Chock and Joan part ways, Chock's future within the Bachelor Nation universe remains bright. His heartbreak could transform him into a compelling candidate for the Golden Bachelor. After all, the franchise has a history of embracing contestants who've experienced heartbreak and turning their pain into a quest for redemption. Chock's narrative as the poetic dreamer who dared to love but fell short of forever could resonate deeply with audiences. Imagine the opening scene of Chock's Golden Bachelor journey, a contemplative shot of him standing on a windswept beach, journal in hand, as he reflects on the lessons learned from his time with Joan. Love doesn't always end the way we hope, he might say. But I'm here to prove that it's never too late to find the love we deserve. The Bachelor Nation audience, known for their appetite for romance and redemption, would likely rally behind this narrative arc. The failed Romeo dilemma. However, Chock's candidacy isn't without its challenges. Some viewers may question whether a man who couldn't make it work with Joan is truly ready to take on the responsibility of leading an entire season. Critics might label him a failed Romeo, unable to deliver the happy ending he once promised. Would this perceived failure overshadow his genuine qualities and make audiences hesitant to root for him? On the flip side, Chock's heartbreak could make him more relatable. His journey would mirror the struggles of many viewers who have experienced love lost and sought a fresh start. In a culture that often stigmatizes failure, Chock's willingness to try again could serve as a powerful testament to resilience and hope. His vulnerability might even become his greatest strength, endearing him to those who see their own stories reflected in his. The poetry of second chances. What sets Chock apart is his unique way of expressing himself. His poetic soul, once devoted to Joan, could become the cornerstone of his Golden Bachelor persona. Imagine the weekly one-on-one dates, where instead of clay-kid conversations over dinner, Chock shares verses he's penned specifically for each contestant. These intimate moments would set him apart from previous leads, infusing the franchise with a refreshing authenticity. Chock's love of literature and art could also inspire unconventional dates that break away from the typical helicopter rides and hot tub rendezvous. Picture Chock hosting a poetry slam or leading a group of contestants on a tour of a historic library, where each woman must find a book that resonates with her own love story. Such creative twists could reinvigorate the series and attract a new audience appreciative of a more intellectual approach to romance. Viewer acceptance, a delicate balancing act.